So we'll be making zinnia flower, and to make it we need a piping bag. I've got here a reusable, it's a single-use bag, but it can be reused. So we'll call it reusable because it's much sturdier than the other ones, which are super flimsy. And I've pushed the longest part of a coupler. The coupler is a set of two pieces which help us to change the nozzles with ease. Just going to remove the top. Now I have to make sure when I cut the top, the plastic is pushed down to the maximum, because if I will leave it loose when I will start piping, it will just come off from my bag. And I'm using a 104, which is petal nozzle, well known as the rose piping nozzle from Wilton. But it's not just Wilton, there are many other companies out there producing this nozzle with the same number. And now I'm just going to twist this, the second part of the coupler over to make sure that the bag is sturdy. So I've got this petal nozzle which has a wide end and a narrow end. Whenever we pipe, we need to make sure that the wide end, it will sit on the surface we pipe, because we've got the most part of the buttercream or whatever we use to pipe coming through here, and then it's going to be super heavy. Now with the tip of the petal, this narrow end, it will create that tip of the petal. That's lighter, so it can stay upright if the consistency of the cream allows for such a thing. But we will never be able to create the tip of a petal with this wide end. So regardless how we keep the nozzle, if it's perpendicular, if it's turned to the right, to the left, then we have to make sure that the wide end touches the piping surface. Because it's a straight nozzle, so it doesn't have any curve, it's good for right-handed and left-handed, and that's the reason why it's so popular, because you don't have to kind of think about if it's good for you or not, because it works for ambidextrous. Both hands can do the same kind of nice job. So what I'm going to do, I'll just open up the bag, put it like a cuff around my hand, just leave just a small section at the base of the bag. That will help me to control how much cream I'm going to put in. I don't want more than a half full hand of cream, and because I don't want to get super messy in here. And if I've got more cream in the bag, either way, controlling the pressure would be very difficult. I'm going to put some white buttercream, but just a thin line. And I'm just looking here at my nozzle. I just want to put that line to match the thin edge of my nozzle. So it's going to be this way. I'm just going to kind of squeeze through and just pipe a line just along that part of the nozzle. Now it did not reach the base of the nail, but the piping coupler, but it will be pushed by my other cream. I don't know if you can see in here, that line is aligned with the narrow end of my piping tube. I'm using those very cheap kind of plastic bags because they are super convenient. Instead of messing too many bowls, I can put my cream onto here and I can squeeze it right inside. But those are not good for piping because they are super fine, and the cream will, when you start creating the pressure, you will get the bags bursting, so they are not good. Okay, so that's just a full hand of cream. That's just enough to work with. We don't need more than that, just a full hand, and my hand is quite big. If you've got a smaller hand, then it's going to probably end up being too much. Okay, and I'm just going to twist to get a really nice good pressure. It's very important to have this nice pressure onto the bag. To secure the end of the bag, I can just wrap it around my thumb. And I'm just going to go to my cupcake. Now this is a dummy cupcake, it's not real cupcake, but it will just work in the same way. And I'm just going to start piping those petals. As I'm pushing out, the cream starts creating a fan. It's not that I'm curving my hand, it's just that I'm squeezing with pressure, and obviously the cream will come up like a little fan. So I'm just going to put a layer of petals around, just touching the surface with that wide end, squeezing to create kind of a border made out of petals. Then, as you've noticed, my nozzle was flat. Now I'm going to lift this nozzle a little bit. We'll just change the angle, and I'm going to start with another layer of petals. And at this point, I can see some of my white cream coming through the tube. A little at a time. They will show more and more as I go along. Okay. So because I've changed the angle now, the petals are upright, and I'll just carry on in the same way, adding more petals with the nozzle almost perpendicular. Yeah, so from flat I've lifted the nozzle to 45 degrees and almost to 90 now. Okay, so I've got a really nice, I don't know if it's noticeable on the camera, that light shade of on the top of the petal. And with a little scoop, I'm going to fill in the center with some pearls. Yeah, so it's super cute and easy to make zinnia flower. If I quickly do another one, yeah, and this time instead of keeping this nozzle flat, I will just start with the nozzle quite upright. I can actually see the highlights on the tip of the petal even better. Something which I have to mention about is the white cream I've used has a different consistency than my blue cream. My blue cream is softer, and when you have two different consistency creams, you have to be quite careful, because what can happen, the one which is softer, it will come up through the tube quicker, while the other one which is firmer, it might just get your nozzle blocked. Okay, but that's just shows the light edge even better. Okay, so two super pretty zinnia flowers.